Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Hog Talk Podcast, live from the Sterling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe and Buzz Radio Network, where you can hear us each week on 106.7 Buzz 2 in Central Arkansas. All live shows are presented to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I'm Porter Hayes. Alongside me, as always, is Adam Hall. And on tonight's show, we will talk about the 38-35 loss to Mississippi State. Arkansas falls to 2-7 overall, 0-5 in conference play, and we will touch on Arkansas starting their regular season off tomorrow night against Southern. But another one-score game, another one-score loss. Adam, at one point, 2 weeks in a row, really. I think I text you when we were messaging saying, "Man, this is good. Arkansas needs this." Arkansas, I like what we're seeing out of Arkansas. And then once again, the wheels fell off. I know there's a lot of frustration, which we'll get into, about the refs. I think it was a 50-50 deal on warranted and, just everything, just referees overall. We'll touch on that here in a little bit. But, Adam, just your overall thoughts on just another heartbreaking loss, another one-score loss. Bobby Petrino just doesn't seem to be getting a grasp on this team and making them complete a four-quarter game.
I think I decided yesterday I'm going to stop sending you and others positive tweet or texts during the games. Because every time we start talking positive, everything goes south. So people want to blame us, sure. It's something that it's frustrating. You feel like that they've finally got this, and this is what happens. I'm almost at not necessarily a loss. You reach a certain point that you're just you're so used to it that
you're numb.
You're numb. It doesn't shock you. You're not baffled by it. You kind of laugh about it, but it's one of those here we go again laughs. I can't believe this is happening. You are now dead last in the SEC. I've seen comments today going back and forth. You have a lot of a lot of this came after Auburn announced that they were firing Hugh Freeze. You started seeing a lot of comments that there was a lot of coping going on. There's a lot of, we're not going to be able to outbid anybody, so we just need to go ahead and move forward and keep Bobby Petrino.
No, absolutely not.
And I just feel like that's a very defeated mentality. And it's one of those things that you're going to end up in the same situation that you were in before with Sam Pittman, because that's what happened before. You had a guy that loved the state of Arkansas and wanted to be here more than anything. And look at where we got. Now, I will say Bobby Petrino, hands down, a better head coach than Sam Pittman, just because of how long, he's been doing it in his experience.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm still going to keep saying this until we hire somebody else, that we need a new regime, top to bottom. But going back to yesterday, it's one of those things that I'm not surprised. I'm disappointed, but at the same time, it tracks. It tracks for how this season has gone.
Yeah, and last night, we had our alumni game in Ozark last night, and at the point, Arkansas had this thing, and they were comfortably in the lead, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, 35-31. Well, the game. You automatically go in that mindset of, well, they're going to win. You just knew it. When we seen they were lined up for the punt to give them the ball back with 3 minutes, you knew that it was coming. What I am seeing, though, there's a lot of people that are now starting to come around to the fact that we need a whole new thing. This Bobby Petrino thing is not going to work. A lot of people, Hunter Yurchek got after the ref. That's the most passion I've seen out of him in 2 months. It's almost comical that, I love an AD that stands up for us, but don't make it about you. Where have you been during this whole debacle? Where have you been about making a plan? Where have you been saying something? We've been asking for you to say something or get a plan or hey, this is unacceptable. You're easy to throw Sam Pittman under the bus, but yet tell on yourself at the same time of, well, it was time for him to go, but we didn't give him the resources. But there's been nothing since then. But you couldn't help to go on the field and get after the ref and make sure you get your camera time, but then you'll go silent for the rest of the season.
And some of the other comments that I've been seeing, and this is where we move the goalposts, or some fans do. Before, when Coach Pittman was let go and Petrino took the reins, everybody was just waiting for that turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was waiting for the switch to be flipped and everything to be right with the world. And then when it doesn't happen, and then when we come out criticizing all the above, it's, well, he's only had a few weeks. Well, he's got Pittman's recruits. Well, he's got this. Well, he's got that. And it's time and time again, we keep making excuses for Bobby Petrino and what's happening. I do not put all this blame on him and on his shoulders. Me wanting a new coach has zero to do with that. Me wanting a new coach and a new regime has to do with just tired of bringing back old coaches that have been here before in whatever capacity, whatever position, whatever the case may be. And it has nothing to do with what's gone on since Pittman left. I mean, it was one of those things. If he got us to a bowl game, I still would have wanted him gone. And that's nothing against him. I just want something new. And, take it for what it is. But we keep moving the goalposts to justify why we need to keep him. And again, I have no ill intent towards Bobby Petrino. I appreciate him coming back because, hell, you've got, top 10 offense in the country. But at the same time, the same offense makes critical mistakes. Look at last week with turnovers in the fourth quarter. Talon taking ill-advised sacks. And then a defense who has stepped up a bit over the last few weeks. But if a team's not passing against us, they're running against us.
Yep.
So it's one of those, if you get down into honestly a 10-point game in the fourth quarter against Arkansas, and Arkansas has the lead, I don't have high hopes. None whatsoever.
And I mean, you outgained them 433 yards. They had 388, 77 plays. You outgained them per play, 5.6 to 5.5. 2 fumbles, none were lost. The penalties, 18 for 193. And when you look at the second half, I think in the third quarter, there was 7 for 91. And then in the fourth quarter, it was 7 for 67. I mean, that was the tone that everybody wants to bring up as the penalties. And yes, they were atrocious. But if you really look at how long he was sitting there talking to that ref and getting on him, I mean, there's only so much he's going to take. Now, is that, we're sitting here saying now Bobby Petrino has to be the better person and be professional. Well, the same goes for the ref, because it was clearly after that vendetta. There was clearly something after that. Now, there was extracurricular activity on both sides going on after a lot of these plays. And to me, that is 100% on the refs. Their job is to keep the game under control. And there for a while, it could have got ugly. You could have had an all-out brawl. You could have had an all-out multiple ejections. I mean, there was things going on. Then there was times where the read option play where he handed it to Rohan Jones, he run it into the end zone. The guy hit him. It was a bang-bang play, but everybody was calling for a late hit or how he held it. I mean, to me, it was like he can't help that because Talon Green is so good at hiding the ball and on his fakes. I just think that was a good tackle, a good play. So it was 50-50, but yet the frustration, when you add in the emotions and the frustrations and everything going on, the no calls were just as big as the excessive flags. Absolutely. But here is this what I'll say. I watched other games. Adam, you sent me a picture of the Ohio State-Penn State game where the guy launched into the Penn State's helmet, no call. I was watching the Clemson game against Duke. The Duke receiver runs into the Clemson defender, holds on to him, and then runs him over, and they call a defensive pass interference. Okay. Now, granted, that was 4th and 11 for Duke. If they don't convert that, Clemson wins the game. It goes into this refs can cost game, and it is horrible. But I don't know. This whole situation with this year, it's just there is so much frustration. Everybody's heightened, and they're going to take everything. And I think the rest things for the most part on this was warranted because they were horrible. But there was some also that you have to think of. You got to tone it back a little bit.
100%. I mean, we saw, the fiery Bobby Petrino that everybody has been clamoring for. And I was here for it. I mean, by all means, it was a terribly called game. So, if you've got to yell, scream, get a penalty for it, we were discussing, if somebody in the comments knows, when's the last time that a head coach has gotten a personal foul or whatever they called for it? I can't remember one.
No,
you get sideline warnings and
well,
things.
I know Pittman at times would sit there and do it, but I don't think he ever got.
He never got penalized.
But he knew when to kind of,
and I get, yeah. And, yes, Bobby Petrino is the last coach to have really won here. If you take in, Pittman, his 8-win season with the bowl game, 9 wins. I think Bielema had an 8-win with a bowl game, 9 wins, maybe. Right before the 4-8 season, I think. But yeah, 8. But it's one of those things. I get that he's the last one, and it's a very much unknown. If you go and hire a coach, especially one of these coaches that we've been talking about, whether it's Summerall, Golish, whoever it may be, and again, I'm just throwing names out there. It's an unknown. And here's something that's sitting in my head too, is if Bobby Petrino is not with Arkansas next season as head coach, what sideline in the SEC is he going to be on? Because I guarantee he's going to end up somewhere that plays Arkansas, and we're going to have to see him next season. But at the same time, you have to think, what would you rather have? A new regime that could work out, or you just going to keep Bobby Petrino because we're still hanging on to 15 years ago and you're afraid of seeing him across the sidelines?
That's exactly it.
And going back to, people, how they feel, whatever about Hunter Yurchek. We all know how we feel. It's on my shirt. His name is marked out with all the other coaches that aren't here anymore. He needs to go. So it's one of those that I have nothing negative or no negative feelings towards Bobby Petrino. I would just want somebody new here.
Yeah, he was handed a bad deal, but you said it perfectly. When you look at it, we're talking about last week. Your back's against the wall. You need to win this game. You need to do certain things. I was looking back at some stats, and it was alarming that, yesterday you were either able to run the ball or you was able to pass the ball. There's no balance. There's no mixture. You passed the ball for 18 yards in the first quarter, rushed for 60. Second quarter, you passed for 147. You ran for 28. Third quarter, 18 passing yards, 141 yards rushing. And then the fourth quarter, this is the thing that I really get irritated about the things, is because they gained 21 yards in the fourth quarter. That's got to be part of it. Yes, we can talk about the refs and we can talk about the penalties, but you got to be able to score when it matters the most. And they have not been able to do that. And that's what's been frustrating to me, is where's the fire to prove that you want to keep going? And if you want Bobby Petrino to be your head coach, but when you got a quarterback that's not going to be here next year, how many of these players are going to be here next year? So, yeah, a lot of it is it Bobby's fault? But let's piggyback off that. Is this a sign of what we would get next year? Because we're going to have a whole new team. You're going to have a new quarterback, because he hasn't really give KJ Jackson any first-team reps. He's not played much in games. Now, if he starts doing that, but you've seen it takes, it took Taylor Green 2 years, but he's making the same mistakes. Yeah, he's putting up awesome numbers. He cannot throw on the run. Everybody gave KJ Jefferson the same crap. He cannot throw on the run. And that's a big part of, if you're a mobile quarterback, you have to be able to throw on the run, and he cannot throw on the run. Now, if he runs, plants his feet, and he can throw a dime, very effective.
That one off his back foot that he was trying to throw 30, 40 yards out. I mean, I don't know what he was thinking throwing that, because it almost got picked off. That's the
careless thing. And people, we love Taylon Green, but it's those type of mistakes that cost you games. It's those bonehead plays that can cost you a game. And if you really want to put a program in his hands, you can't make those mistakes one-offs. If he did that one game all season or 2 games, every single game he is doing something like that, whether he's fumbling the ball, throwing 3 interceptions, or making bonehead plays like that. Yes, he is great at the zone reads and being able to do the option play. But outside of that, what is it? And somebody, I was listening to the late night radio show, and somebody said, what big game has Taylon Green won since he's been here? You can at least say that for KJ Jefferson, but what big game has Taylon Green won since he's been here?
Bowl game.
Nope. Okay.
I mean,
yeah. But outside of that, what is it? What game has he won for this team? And you look at these 1-score games, and you can get on Sam Pittman. We can joke about Sam Pittman and Bobby Petrino for these 1-score games. Is that not partially part of your quarterback's job to be a game manager? If you know you can't trust your defense, slow it down a little bit. But that's also on the coach. Let's run, let's mix, let's run some time off the clock. You know good and well, you give them the ball back with 3 minutes left, you're giving them the game. So why do we continuously do that? That's on the quarterback too.
That's what I'm looking at here. So we had 46 rushes. Mike Washington, 19 rushes for 116 yards. And you know something too, when we saw the backup quarterback for Mississippi State, I mean, 6 rushes for 55 yards. He led Mississippi State in rushing. Counting for 1 passing touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown.
Well, then the starting quarterback comes in the first play, throws a pick.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, all right, we got this in hand, you know?
Mm-hmm. When we went up double digits, I was thinking, okay, like we can not get comfortable, but you've got a little bit of a cushion. And it's just, we just start making stupid mistakes, whether it's quick 3-and-outs or boneheaded. I mean, we'll get on the penalties, I guess, after the break, but it's one of those that with those penalties and stuff, and I get that they were atrocious, but as a coach, you've got to reel your players in. And I feel like the refs were out to prove a point. I mean, Arkansas went from 1 penalty in the Tennessee game to 18 yesterday. I feel like there was a point to be proven. But at the same time, you were up 2 scores and you let them come back. So it's one of those, you can't leave the game in the hands of the officials, and you let them dictate to the second half of the game.
Yeah, and you're fighting a losing battle there, because one, you can't let the refs dictate the game, and you can't let your defense dictate the game. Looking here, fourth quarter, Mike Washington got 3 touches for 17 yards. So hear me out here. Taylon Green, 4 carries. I guess you want to count these sacks. He had 25 yards for the sack, negative 3.2 average in the fourth quarter. You had Mike Washington, 5.7 yards a carry in the fourth quarter, and he got 3 touches. Who is that on? And this is going to be a serious question. Who is that on? Is that more on the coach or the quarterback?
I feel like it's more on the coach.
And what have you been saying for weeks about abandoning the run?
I mean, Bobby Petrino has abandoned the run his entire coaching career.
Now, granted, Mike Washington had 55 yards rushing. That's the thing. He had 55 yards rushing in the third quarter. And then the fourth quarter, especially, this is what baffles me. When you know you need to run some clock, you got a guy that's giving you 5 yards a carry. Why in the hell are we passing the ball? Why are we giving the opportunity, again, for Taylon Green to get sacked, losing 25 yards in the fourth quarter? And then you throw on the penalties. So to me, been really hard dealing with this, Adam, is people Do the Razorback fans want the truth or their truth? Because a lot of the people who want Bobby Petrino, because of the nostalgia, because they think he's just going to come in and turn this thing around, is that the truth or their truth?
It's their truth. They don't want to admit it. I mean, and it's one of those. And Greg, if we're that boring, feel free to hop on with us. We'd be glad to hear your point of view. Otherwise, I mean, stay in the comments. But it's one of those that people don't want to accept that they might have been wrong. They want who makes them feel better.
Well, Greg wants to blame the whole game on the officials. And if we're not sitting here ranting and raving about the officials, but not calling a spade at the same time, you know, MC said he'll hop on. You know,
it's one of those that
all about it, because it's just hard, because you know what you're going to get with this. If you give Bobby Petrino, you're saying, well, we'll give him a defense, but you've called out that. But do you want a balanced offense, or do you want to sit here and put the ball in the hands of somebody who are you going to have be your quarterback next year? You know, this was supposed to be the year for Taylor Green, and look, he went in the end zone, grabbed his hamstring. If he's been hurt, fine, get the backup in. If you know the season's lost and you know your quarterback is hurt, why are you not developing KJ Jackson? Why are you not giving him a chance? Because guess what? What's going to happen is you're going to be stuck with Bobby Petrino, and then your backup's going to leave. Because where's he going to? He's going to want to go somewhere else.
I will say, and this is not to defend Taylor, but I think that him pulling up his hamstring is part of his celebration.
Oh,
which, yeah. Because at first I thought, you never know with him. I mean, I thought the same thing at first, and then he was dancing afterwards, and I was like, oh, it's a whole little thing. But, you know, and I get that this team is not, because I've seen it in the comments too, this team is not Bobby's players. This isn't his players. Guess what? This is his offense. This is his quarterback. This is his receivers running, etc. I mean, he had a say in the players on the offensive side of the ball. So it's one of those that, did he pick these defense players? No, he didn't have a say in it. But at the same time, again, how we've been saying this for the last 2 weeks, everybody keeps saying, oh, just go get a good defensive coordinator, go pay for a defensive coordinator. And I just still stand on, when has Bobby Petrino ever had a defensive coordinator? When has he ever gone out and hired a defensive coordinator? No. It's one of those that we keep saying, do this, do this, do this. But there's more history and proof that he's never done this before. So why would he do it now? I mean, it's just one of those that it's wishful thinking, I feel like. I mean, if that was the case, if he said, yes, I'm going to go spend $2 million on the best defensive coordinator that I could get, I'd probably say, okay, maybe let's give him a shot. But at the same time, I don't have faith that he's going to go hire a great defensive coordinator.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's proven that it's his show, and I don't think he would take the demotion. I mean, he might. You never know. For the right amount of money, he might go back and be like, here, give this to someone else and just let me worry about the offense. You know, that could be, I mean, I'm just looking at, because you're seeing more jobs open up, and you're talking about the more jobs that come open, SEC jobs that come open, and we're probably not done yet. In the grand scheme of all college football. So how many more jobs are going to come open? It's like you've said, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. I'm preparing for us still being stuck with Hunter Yurachek, stuck with Bobby Petrino, and then what are we going to go get? Mm-hmm. Where's the money going to come from? Are we going to have money? And to me, what we've said and made fun of and talked about, if you stick with Hunter Yurachek and you stick with Bobby Petrino, you have settled for mediocrity that you can't even achieve mediocrity now. You're 2-7, 0-5. That's not mediocre.
And let's see. I mean, Jeff Levy saved his job yesterday. They're one game away from a bowl game, or one win away from a bowl game. The only reason I can see Kentucky hanging on to Mark Stoops is because I think they owe him $30 million within 30 days of his termination. Shout out to his agent, probably Jimmy Sexton for all we know. But it's one of those that the coaching carousel, I mean, is getting larger. There's already early reports of Florida wanting to go after Georgia's defensive coordinator, Glenn Schumann. I mean, these are teams that you're going to see the top coordinators and then the top names like John Summerall and Alex Golesh, whatever. They're going to end up places, and I feel like Arkansas is going to stay with comfort and stay with what they know, and we're going to potentially be having the same conversation exactly 1 year from now.
Yeah.
People got mad a little bit and in their feels before the season when we posted a little meme video talking about how this team wasn't going to go 9-3. And we got a lot of crap for it, but here we are once again.
Yeah. And we're not doing it.
Not doing it on purpose.
We're not doing it to be funny. This is how we really feel. We've watched this circus go on for 2 years. We've followed this for 6 years. We've seen what's going on. I just have a different perspective. I'm going through it with my own team, but I'm sitting there saying they need to get rid of him. But you know what I hear from the Clemson fans? Who could we get better? They're already stuck in that nostalgia of this is a new time, new era. They are sitting there settling for mediocrity. If Dabo don't want to be there, he needs to hit the road. I don't care how many national championships he's won. He hasn't won it since 18. Yes, I know other programs would kill for that, but what has he done outside of being able to beat SMU to sneak in the college football playoffs last year? He doesn't agree in the NIL. He does not believe in the transfer portal. He's lost. You talk about defensive coordinator. You get somebody like a Brent Venables type of defensive coordinator, you could do something. But I've also seen defensive coordinators, Kurt Cignetti, he was a head coach at JMU, but Dan Lanning, look what he's doing at Oregon.
Mike Elko.
There was another one that was Clark Lee, defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. So we want this team, when we say we want mediocrity for this team, we want 7-8 wins. 6 on a bad year. But if we're getting the same product, I don't. The majority of what this team is the offense, and this is Bowling Green's second year, and you're going to be dealing with this transfer portal stuff every year. So you're not going to be able. You could try to get Bobby Petrino players, but if you're not winning games, you're not going to get any players because nobody's going to want to come here, or if you don't get any money. So if that's what a lot of people want, that's fine. You have the right to feel that way, but I'm just trying to tell you what you're going to get if we go down that road. We're going to be in disappointment land for the next 2-3 years.
No, and it's one of those, we've seen a lot of recruitment talk and this and that, and that's one thing that we have to look at too. I mean, I will say is Petrino will go get the faster players, but we're all going to have to accept and stop looking and watching at what our recruiting ranking is.
Yeah.
Because, he was in the high 20s to 40s as a head coach. So it's one of those that, which I think some people take to heart a little bit too much, the rankings that come out for recruiting classes. It's one of those, he proved that he could have a 40th ranked recruiting class and still get to where he got to.
Mm-hmm.
But, this is a completely different day and age too, with the transfer portal and NIL. Players aren't sitting and waiting anymore. I mean,
and like I've said, you could be 40, you could be top 15. Where are you at in your conference? Mm-hmm. If you're sitting at 15th in the country, but you're 12th in the conference, what weight does that hold? It's awesome to say you have a top 15 recruiting class. Cool. But when you're playing 9 games, conference games, that means you're still failing in your conference. So you need.
We saw that here under Sam Pittman.
Yeah,
we saw it. We had top 15, top 20 recruiting classes, but we were still 12th to 15th in the SEC. So,
and he did good with the portal. I mean, Sam Pittman brought in some, Felipe Franks, Drew Sanders. There was some highlights where he had, and then he had the super seniors. He had some good times there, but you need a program. You don't need another one season where you win 8-9 games, and then you give the man a whatever now was $9 million, $6 million buyout or extension, and now we're looking at the same thing. But we've been on this same path for what Arkansas needs, and until they do it, and if they keep Honey Urchek, I don't care who you got as coach. We're gonna be in the same boat because you got to have money. He don't want money, and
he wants money for him.
Yeah, for his on the wall. He likes decorations. He don't like players. He likes, it's like Hobby Lobby. You know, he wants to go to Hobby Lobby and shop for him, but he don't want to, get what gets people in the stands. Sure. And he wants renovations. We're going to take a quick commercial break. After the break, we'll just deep dive back into the football conversation, and we'll end it up with a preview of Arkansas's game tomorrow night at 6 p.m. against Southern. We'll be right back after the break. Searching for premium grooming products that will take your daily routine to the next level? Look no further than Sterling Soap Company. Our handmade soaps, aftershaves, and balms are made with only the finest ingredients that give you the ultimate grooming experience. With a variety of scents to choose from, there's something for everyone. Plus, our products are crafted in small batches to ensure the highest level of quality. So why wait? Visit www.sterlingsoap.com or visit our retail store at 16 West Walnut Street in Paris, Arkansas. Shop our collection and discover the difference for yourself. Upgrade your grooming routine with Sterling Soap Company. Are you looking for a place to grab a cold drink and some delicious food? Look no further than Arkansas Brewing Company. Located at 201 South 1st Street in beautiful downtown Ozark, our establishment offers a wide selection of craft beers and tasty eats. But what sets us apart is our welcoming atmosphere and friendly staff. At Arkansas Brewing Company, you'll always feel like part of the family. So visit Destiny and Christopher Brockett and staff today and see for yourself what makes us the go-to spot for locals and visitors alike. Arkansas Brewing Company, come for the drinks and stay for the friends. Attention DIYers and home improvement enthusiasts. Are you searching for the right tools and the supplies to tackle your next project? Look no further than Mentor's Hardware Store. With locations in Ozark, Alma, and Clarksville, our vast selection of hardware and building materials is sure to have everything you need, whether you're fixing a leaky faucet or building a new deck. Plus, our knowledgeable staff is always on hand to offer expert advice and guidance. And with our competitive prices and convenient online ordering, Mentor's Hardware Store is your one-stop shop for all your DIY needs. Visit us today and let's build something amazing together. Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than ATU Ozark Campus. As a 2-year satellite campus of Arkansas Tech University, we're dedicated to a quality workforce education, industry partnerships for in-demand jobs, and tailored paths for success. Our programs are led by industry professionals. Whether it's a certificate or you're aiming for a graduate degree, ATU Ozark has you covered. Visit our website at www.atu.edu/Ozark or contact us at 479-667-2117. Your future begins here. Welcome to Ozark Area Chamber of Commerce, where our mission is simple: encourage, promote, and aid an enduring environment of shared economic opportunity and civic development for the Ozark, Arkansas area. Whether you're a local business owner or a resident, we've got something for you. Shop our unique local businesses, explore the beauty of Ozark, and savor local flavors and find cozy accommodations. Join us in building a stronger community. And to learn more, contact us at 479-667-2525. Remember, together we thrive. And welcome back to the Hog Talk podcast. Just carrying on the conversation, moving forward. And we don't know who Arkansas is going to end up getting as head coach. Because Lashley signed his extension. I've heard multiple things of he felt like it wasn't his time. And Adam, do you think he wants that kind of pressure? You think about it, where you're coming into this, your first big time. Look what he's done at SMU, but you come into an SEC job where it's your home state. You've played there. You played high school ball there. And the expectations of, if I don't get this thing turned around to where we're winning 7-8 games, and you're unsure of your athletic director, you're unsure of your NIL, why would he want to come here right now? Why would anybody truly, with the state it is right now, want to come coach at the University of Arkansas?
There's a lot of risk with it, from things that I've heard out there, and this doesn't have to do with Lashley or anybody that I feel like is in contention for this position. A lot of coaches that are from this area, a lot of them have hopes and dreams and ideas of retiring here one day.
Mhm.
And them, their spouses, their families feel like if things go south here, that they're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I know one coach in particular, that's what conference are they in now? Is in the ACC, and he's from the state of Arkansas, or played college in the state of Arkansas. His wife is from Fort Smith, and one of their fears. Now, I'm not saying I want him to coach here, because I'll be completely honest, I don't. But that's their reason. They don't want to be here or they don't want to come coach here just for the risk of what happens if
Mhm.
if
It makes
things go
sense.
south. They don't feel like they can retire here, and this is where their family is.
Mhm.
I mean, and it's one of those that I kind of, I've had people question, like, oh, you think Pittman's going to sell his lake house and stuff? But with Pittman, I think that he is a nice enough man, and everybody still has love for him, that I think they understood the situation and knew it was just time to go. Thanked him for being that bridge between, after Chad Morris. But other coaches, it scares them a bit. They don't want their future retirement plans to be ruined.
Look at some of the players that have been in-state players that have played basketball at Arkansas, and it hasn't panned out for them at Arkansas. The scrutiny that they received, and they went to other schools and played and balled out, become better players. I mean, there is a lot of pressure in going to the University of Arkansas, whether it's coach or playing, unless you're a bona fide player. You're going to have to come in and be a Darren McFadden or a Matt Jones or a Tyler Wilson or Austin Allen. You're going to have to come in and produce. And there's a lot of, and with the state of Arkansas program right now, not knowing how you're not mediocre. If this was a 4 or 5 win team, there's something to build on, but you're building from the ground up. And yes, it only takes a couple of years to rebuild a program now, but you got to have the backing. You got to have the money now. You got to get over this whole thing of, we think rev share is going to be the save all. We got to get over the whole fact we'd rather renovate our stadium or put a billboard up than put money into our NIL. And that billboard's going to be nice at the baseball stadium, but what happens after Van Horn retires? Are we set on this thing just running like a well-oiled machine after he goes? What happens to Bud Walton Arena after Cal decides to hang it up? Are we going to be promising in our basketball program like we are now? Strike it while it's hot. All you need to do is fix a third of your freaking athletic program. Your baseball, basketball is rolling. Why not spend the money to get this thing back on track and you have everything going? Because a lot of this fan frustration's on the athletic director's part. You don't have a name for your stadium. There's so many things that went wrong here. And we're stuck with this product that we're seeing where you're putting all this pressure on the offense to score every single time. And I know it's a lot of pressure. What pressure is Taylor Green under? So, I mean, you kind of got to give him a little slack, because the immense pressure of knowing you've got to score a touchdown every time you touch the ball. It's got to be a lot.
You were the Arkansas Diamonds? Oh, wait, we remember.
Yeah.
We know who the Arkansas Diamonds
Yeah.
are. Formerly known as
the Wildcats.
Yeah. So, and I'm just going to say this right now so I can be on record, since you brought up, DVH and when he retires. I'm putting this out there now that Tony Vitello going to the San Francisco Giants is just a segue for him to come back and coach Arkansas after Dave Van Horn retires, because it's not going to go well for him out in San Francisco. Yeah. And this was the easiest transition to be able to leave Tennessee to come to Arkansas without being villain number one.
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing that out there right now.
We'll put that.
Yeah.
4 minutes in. Yes.
It's one of those that we all understand as fans what we want, what we hope, especially with this football program. And we're all under the same agreement that if this football program, I mean, you've got to spend the money, and having a good football program makes all your other programs just feel that much bigger and better. And it's not taking away, but I mean, we've talked about it time and time again, going back to 2021, just the atmosphere in Fayetteville with football, baseball, and basketball being as good as they were. And we talk about the money that needs to be spent. And I just, we talk about return on investments all the time. And it's one of those things that I just can't understand why there's other programs too, but why you wouldn't spend money on your top revenue getting program, because you would get that tenfold if y'all were successful. Whether it was the players, whether it was the players' NIL deals that they were getting, which then just brings more business to your city, what it does for the businesses of Northwest Arkansas when this team is good. Because guess what? When there's only 30 to 40,000 people showing up and they're not hanging out on the town after the game, they're just going home, that hurts your businesses. So it's one of those that you'd get your money back if this team was good.
Yeah, because the fans aren't drinking their sorrows away after games anymore. They're just going home. They don't even have the energy to do that. I made the point up probably about beginning of the year. If you can get that cash cow and you could get that booster or collective of boosters to foot the bill for some of this football program or the football program, and you're getting it tenfold. We talked about, what Wake Forest is doing and building this town around the football stadium. If you could find a way to have something outside of just NIL where you can get these people involved, you're talking about Hog Town. Why not make a Hog Town where it's, you have a venue, but yet you have shops, you have things where it's not just on game days. People can do it all the time. But if you do that, then guess what? You get to use that 16 or the 20.5 million on making sure your baseball program's safe when Dave Van Horn decides to leave. You get to make sure that your soccer team, your women's golf, you're taking care of them secondary athletic programs. Your women's golf team that has the best player one of the best players in the country isn't getting $28 for NIL, because you're not having to spend all your rev share on your football program. And then you're wondering why your volleyball team's tanked. You're wondering why your women's basketball team is tanked. You're looking at all these programs that went away, but the big elephant in the room is your football program. Well, if you fix that, then everything else comes to fruition. Look back at all the winning programs back in 21 when soccer was winning, softball was winning, football was winning, basketball was winning. Your gymnastics team was going to the NCAA tournament. Track and field was winning national championships. Women's golf was winning. Everybody was winning. Everybody was happy year round. We can get there. But I think you need a whole new start if you want to make everything great. Because, guys, we talk about football being the priority, but it benefits everything else. And that's just where we are in the landscape of college football.
Let me pose this, because we talk about the cash cows, we talk about the boosters. And yes, people, we all know that it's much easier to spend other people's money. We're well aware of that. But in the grand scheme of donors and board members and whoever else, if Jerry Jones walked in and said, I will pay 12 mil or whatever it took to get the coach that y'all needed here, but he wanted to say in things, would you allow it?
Oof.
I mean, I know, but I know the most initial and quick answer is no, because of that Dallas Cowboys and what we see.
Yeah.
But his issue there is being the GM. I mean, hell, we have a GM that doesn't do anything. But
where does that me piggyback off? Where does that leave our NIL? Because you can give $12 million and bring Nick Saban back, but if you don't have NIL on players, look at what happened to Kelly. I mean, if he didn't win a national championship 4 years, he's gone. Bill Belichick. I mean,
yeah, but if you bring in that coach, I mean, if you sat there and said, "Hey,"
yeah, I got what you're saying.
It'd be one of those. If you said, "Hey, we're bringing in Nick Saban," then you'd have the NIL lining up to So, but if we know how Jerry Jones is when it comes to running programs, and I'm not saying obviously he would be Arkansas's GM by any means, but you open the door to allow him to foot the bill.
Yeah.
How much say would you expect him to have, or would you want him to have?
No, because we'd have Dion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying that as a joke. I think that's who he wanted at the time. I think, you really got to look at what he's done with, and you're talking about he is Hunter Yurachek on steroids. He is the fact that is, and I've said this about the Cowboys for years, as long as they're the top revenue pro sports program or second, he's going to keep doing what he's doing. And I don't know, it'd be a scary thing. Maybe put a mustache on him and call him Tommy Jones. That way we wouldn't know it was him. Maybe it'd feel a little bit better, but that is, man, you talking about a tough question. That was a good question, because yes, it's $12 million a year. But if he had a say in it, I mean, hell, we just might as well just, I don't know. I don't trust him.
We just know how things are with him. So there would be strings attached.
Yeah.
Whether it's Arkansas has to permanently change their uniforms to those Cowboys knockoffs that they wore against A&M.
Hey, that's cool.
In 2014, 2016, whatever it was.
Didn't they look, the one year they looked like Ohio State's colors? Didn't they have that kind of shade of gray? Yeah.
They wore the gray and the red, but they wore Cowboys pattern, if you will. So it looked a mix of Ohio State and the Dallas Cowboys. But if I just wonder, how far would people go? I mean, more or less, the whole, would you sell your soul to get the coach that we needed in here? And if that was to Jerry Jones, would you do it?
I think majority, yes. And I mean, because look, and this is no knock on Bobby, but I mean, they moved mountains to get him to where he could be able to come back and coach, knowing everything that happened. Yes, it was a mistake. It was so many years ago, but they still had to make changes to get him to come back. And then they flew a plane over Bud Walton Arena. So the question is, no matter how they felt about him, if he said, we're going to give you $12 million a year for your head coach, I think I would have to, you would have to say yes, because I mean, who else is going to want to fork over that much for the coach? And then again, we're getting into the, the onion layers, but yeah, you'd have to put your personal differences aside and be like, okay, thank you, sir.
And see what happens.
Give some options.
Because, like Ty said, maybe he knows college more. Maybe you have a different outcome in the sense that he's not owner and GM.
Yeah.
So, there's a little bit more checks and balances in that respect. But, and maybe that's what it's going to take, unless you luck out on one of these up-and-comer coaches. But time will tell.
Yeah. Well, real quickly, I know we said we were going to talk about the season opener, but kind of ran over a little bit on time. But for those keeping track, Arkansas will play tomorrow night in Bud Walton Arena at 6 p.m. The game will be shown on the SEC network against Southern. A big tune-up before they go to East Lansing. What's that?
Not on YouTube TV.
Oh, yeah, no YouTube TV. So, look, I did Fubo 5-day trial. I did it with this email this weekend. I'm going to use my wife's email next weekend until they can get this thing figured out. So, However you got to watch it, I don't know, but yeah, SEC Network, or you can listen to one of the morning guys call it on the radio. Raffle update. I think the raffle ended at 25,000.
Yeah, the winner got $24,395.
Yeah. The person who won it was number 990-3488-5044. So congratulations.
Foundation member
99.
you
Yeah,
fill in the blank.
there we go, right there. Yeah. So, but yeah, season kickoff. So fans, you got something to fall back on. And I know for us, we just try to, in a sense, give our thoughts, and we don't know who's going to be the coach, but we can give you I know it's tough to hear sometimes, and we're not trying to, we will never be the people that says we told you so, but we sit here and try to give our honest opinion on everything. And it's hard. It's easier for me because, again, I root for the Razorbacks. I follow them, but it's easier when they're not like your team. And I really feel for you and like John and all these people that's their passion, and they have to cover the team and then try to be realistic, or try to sit here and come out here week after week after week and talk about this. So so my perspective is going to be different than Adam. And I know there's been times I had to stop myself and be like, Adam, how do you feel about this? Because we're doing a show, but yet I have to take a step back and be like, how are you feeling as the fan, Adam, on what things are going?
Mm-hmm.
But don't forget, come back 8:05. Y'all rolling tonight?
Yep.
All right. 8:05. Hog HQ live. Adam, DP, Matt will come back to give you their thoughts, a little bit more lively in the comment section, and their takes, the music and the pettiness. So
we'll see what happens.
Try to do different, keep it light over here, but you never know. Believe keeps on messing around with us. I'm just going to go rogue. So we kind of started so between Believe and FanDuel, we love those people, but it's one of them. We're just Hog Talk podcast now. So
business is business.
Business is business. Come back at 8:05 and watch Hog HQ live. We want to thank everybody for tuning in, everybody in the comment sections, all of our sponsors, and we'll catch you on Thursday.